Hi, I'm Morgan Richards from Radio Cardiff 98.7 FM. I'm very pleased to say that I'm backstage at the O2 Academy in Bristol. I'm joined by the one and only Mr Charlie Simpson.
How you doing?
Hey man, how's things?
Very good, very good. We're second night into the tour, so we had the first night in Southampton yesterday, which went well, and in Bristol tonight. So it's been a great start to the tour.
Okay, right, awesome. Now, Charlie, this past year you've been very busy, especially in the past few months, in particular, where you've been recording your second full-length studio album, and of course the follow-up to 2011's Young Pilgrim.
Yes, basically. I started writing at the beginning of the year and had about 6 months just kind of getting ideas down. And then I went into the studio with Steve Osborne, which is amazing guy to work with. We recorded it down in Bristol at a place called Real World Studios, which is Peter Gabriel's studio. And really beautiful part of the country. And I spent 2 or 3 months down there. And I'm kind of finishing the last bits of the record off as soon as this tour finishes, which will be... kind of have it finished by sort of mid-November, and the first single will come out in January.
Okay, cool. Can you tell us a bit more of what people can expect from the album?
It's a progression from Young Pilgrim, definitely. Sonically, it's different because for the first time when I was working with Steve, we actually recorded a lot of the album live. Okay. Because usually when I've been recording in the past, you'll layer the instruments up. You start with the drums and then do the bass and the guitar, which is always the way that I'd kind of worked in the studio. And Steve said to me that he wanted to try doing it, like they did in the 70s and the 60s, where they literally just set up in a room. Because I played majority of the instruments on Young Pilgrim, but now because I have a live band, I was keen to get them on the record. And I think you can hear that in some of the songs. There's just a real delicate nature, and you can kind of feel that everyone's just in there in the same room together. And I think that it adds something definitely that I haven't kind of had before in recording.
Yeah, because you actually recorded the album on tape.
Yes, we used tape for some of it, but majority was still done on Pro Tools. But as I say, it was just when you're set up in a room and playing live together, you need to commit to stuff rather than. I think the modern way of recording is I think it detracts in some way to what's being recorded, because you can do it 100 times and everything can be messed around with, and I think that you kind of lose that original spark of what the song was to begin with. So it kind of challenged me because I'd never done that before. And he said, "Look, you just trust me on this. You'll be happy in the end." And he was right. I think the record sounds great.
Yeah, because a lot of other bands are going back to this way of recording.
Yeah,
too.
they are. Yeah, I mean, Foo Fighters did their last record on tape, and Steve had just finished working with Vanessa Carlton, and she did her last album on tape. I mean, I think the problem with tape, I mean, it is a lot more expensive to do it. I think that's what put some bands off, because obviously now everyone uses computers. Much less people are using tape in studios, so it is a more expensive way to do it. But I think if you rehearse properly, because what you can't do is just go in with an album that's kind of 3/4 of the way there, because a lot of times I've been to the studio with a song that's pretty much there, and I'll kind of finish it in the studio and play around with different melody ideas or whatever. If you're doing it on tape, you have to commit to what you put down, and I think there's a certain discipline in that which adds to what you're doing. But yeah, it's interesting to see how people are kind of returning to that way of things.
Okay, and as you mentioned there, you worked with Steve Osborne, who's worked with such bands as Placebo, Simple Minds, and even U2.
Yes. Placebo was the album he did called Without You I'm Nothing, was one of my favourite records, and that was actually one of the reasons that I thought about Steve. And also he produced another one of my favourite albums, which is Visu by Thrice.
Okay.
And I actually wanted to work with him when Fightstar were recording, because I met him a couple of times, and it never worked out. But he was kind of top of my list this time around, and sent him some of the new tracks, and he loved it. And we just had a real bond together. We really got on together. When we came back because we did it in 2 places. We did the first with the band, we did it in Mono Valley, and then we came back and finished up some bits at Real World. So we spent a lot of time together, just vibing out ideas, and we were it's rare that you're completely on the same wavelength with things. Usually you'll kind of butt heads, but I think we had a very similar outlook on what we wanted the record to be. So I was really pleased.
Okay, right, that's good to hear. Now, originally you were hoping to release the album in September, but as you said, you've not finished recording the album yet.
Yes.
So you hopefully be doing it at the beginning of next year?
Yes, beginning of next year. Basically, I wanted to get out on the road. I get itchy feet when I'm in the studio for too long, and I want to get out on the road. And Deaf Havana called me up and said, "Do you want to come out on this tour?" And we actually planned to do something last year, because they were doing like an acoustic version of their last album. We planned to play some shows together, and it didn't really work out timing wise because I wanted to go back into the studio. So it seemed like a great way to kind of, I'm playing a couple of new songs tonight. I thought it'd be a nice way to kind of test out a couple of the new tracks, and then I'll finish up recording as soon as I get back off this tour. And I think the first single will probably come out in February, and then we'll be looking at, I think we're looking at the 12th of May for the album release.
Okay. And I actually understand that you've got your band touring members to record on the album, where on Young Pilgrim you recorded most of the instruments yourself.
Yes. So when I was recording Young Pilgrim, I didn't have a band at that point, so I thought, I got actually Ruben in to do the drums, because I wanted to kind of be more in the producer chair when the drums were being recorded. But I played all the guitars and the bass and all that kind of stuff myself, and then it was actually through Ruben, who plays in my band, who did play the drums on Young Pilgrim. Okay. He had a few other musicians in mind that would work, and so introduced me to them, and we just get on so well. You know, it feels, when we're on the road, it feels like, though it is my solo project, it just kind of feels like we're a band on the road together, and we get on so well. And so I wanted to get them involved on the record, and as I said to you before, I think that it definitely adds something when you have a group of people playing in a room together, rather than me just layering stuff over it, over itself. Yeah,
because you get other people's perspective.
Exactly. And everyone has their own sort of feel, and the way they play their instrument changes person to person. And if I'm doing it all myself, it's all going to sound pretty similar, and so it's nice to get that different perspective, and I think that adds a lot to the record.
All right, okay, awesome. And shortly after you were recording, you went off to America to do Vans Warped Tour.
Yes, that was awesome. So I've been a big fan of Warped Tour. Have you heard of Warped Tour before?
Yes.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of Warped Tour ever since I was at school, because a lot of the bands I loved growing up, Blink-182, and then I got into bands like the Starting Line, New Found Glory, and Taking Back Sunday. They all broke off the Warped Tour, and it's kind of an institution out in the States, and it's always something that I thought one day that I'd love to do. And so I heard that Kevin Lyman, who runs the Warped Tour, he was putting on for the first time an acoustic stage, which happened last year. And it was such a success that they decided to bring it back this year, and they made it much bigger, so it was a proper full-blown tent. And it was just, I met so many great people. Me and my backing singer Nick went out and did it together, and we did about 5 weeks, and it's just extraordinary. You got like 80 bands touring together. There's like 100 buses going in convoy. It was probably one of the most fun summers I've ever had. Something that I'll really cherish, I think. And I made a lot of good friends. A lot of great English bands on this year. I met some great Australian bands and obviously American bands. So I feel like I made a lot of new friends as well. Okay, yeah,
because in the States it's such a massive thing over there too.
It is, and it's like such an undertaking. America is so vast that it's just I think we covered like 15,000 miles or something.
Wow.
It was insane, and the heat was just mental. Every day just waking up in a new place, and it's great because you don't know what time you're going to be playing, because they draw all the stage times for every single stage at random every day.
All right.
Which is a really interesting way of doing it. So there's not technically a headline. I could be playing. I could be closing the stage or opening it, and I think that's a really nice way to work. So in the morning you get up and you go and check the list and see what time you're playing, and then you get time to go and see the other bands and hang out with other people, and just a real social experience. And it was nice to play in front of a new audience. It was the first time I'd been over to the States as a solo artist, and my album Young Pilgrim comes out. My first album, Young Pilgrim, comes out in America in about 3 weeks.
Oh, right, okay.
So I'm going to go back in the new year to play some shows over there, which I'm looking forward to.
Okay, right, awesome. And of course, as you said, you're currently touring with the wonderful Deaf Havana.
Yes.
With the first show in Southampton. You looking forward to playing with them?
Yes, they're great. They're really, really sweet guys. We actually toured with them before, because Fightstar, they came on tour with Fightstar about 4 years ago maybe, and we got on well, and it's lovely to see their sound has progressed into a more kind of acoustic, well, not so much acoustic, but just more in the area of what I'm doing. And so I think the bill is a really nice fitting, and it's just good to be on tour with a band that are such cool guys, and also Big Sixes were on first, are really good. So I'm really looking forward to the tour. Yeah,
because it's your first real UK tour since you toured to Atlantic at the end of last year.
Yes, we went out with them I think it was just exactly a year ago.
Yeah.
But what's cool about this is that I've been touring my solo stuff now for 2 years, and it's so nice. It was weird last night playing the new songs. I'm playing 2 new songs in the set.
Okay.
When you get used to playing the same songs over and over again, it was really nice to suddenly play something new, and it's a nice way of kind of testing out new songs. Being out of Deaf Havana, just kind of road testing some of the new songs. But it's exciting for me, you know, to be able to play new materials. It's getting me really revved up for the album coming out and going out on tour next year and playing it all live as well.
Okay, cool. And the fans reacted well to the new songs?
Yeah, really good. I mean, my only gauge is Twitter, really. And after the set, lots of people tweeting saying that they really like the sound of the new stuff. So it's been nerve-wracking, you know. When you I remember when I first put up Thorns, a track from Young Pilgrim, online as the first track of my solo stuff. And it's a daunting prospect putting something out there that you've held so close, and then you put it out kind of to be judged by people. So it's a strange feeling, you know. You can't really think about it too much. I think you just got to go out there and do it. But I'm glad that the reaction was positive.
Yeah, but it's got to be a bit thing because you don't know what people are gonna react to it.
You don't know what they're going to say, and I mean, it shouldn't really bother you. You know, you've got to be happy with it, and that's got to be the first thing, and then you hope that everyone will follow suit. But yeah, I'm really proud of the songs, and I think hopefully the fans that are into Young Pilgrim are going to be equally as into this new record.
Okay, awesome. Now, one thing, Charlie, I really wanted to ask you is about the fact that you actually hold the world record for the world's coldest gig.
Crazy record.
Yeah, after you performed 5 live songs outside a temperature of minus 30 degrees in snowy Siberia.
So basically, Jägermeister came to me, because I do a lot of work with Jägermeister, and they said, look, we want to plan something that's a bit left field, an exhibition, and they wondered if I'd be interested in it, and they told me about the idea to send me to a place called Omyakon, which is the coldest inhabited place. The lowest temperatures get down to like minus 70, and it took us 4 days to get there. So we flew to Moscow, and then flew to Yakutsk, and then you couldn't fly into where we went because it's just too remote and too cold. So we then drove like 2,000 kilometers in literally like an army van, just through the most incredible terrain, and it's just amazing to see all this stuff. So we got there and played to some of the locals, and I think they're all a bit like, what is going on? And I mean, on the day that we did the record, it was minus 30, but the coldest I experienced was minus 45.
Wow. And
it is just, I can't explain to you how cold that is. Like when you breathe in and your lungs just hurt because it's just so cold. There's no running water, and it's just amazing to see that these people, you know, have a everyday life there in such extreme conditions. Yes. But it was an eye opener, and it's a cool thing to have a world record. I was pretty pleased with that at the end of it.
Yeah, it must be an amazing experience as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a life experience, you know, and the reason I said yes to doing it is because I thought to myself, when am I ever going to Siberia? When am I ever going to go to Siberia? You know, and I like to see as much of the world as I can, so it was a fun thing to do.
But you did have to train a lot before you went up there as well.
Yeah, I had to do a training day just to get used to. Well, the doctors before I left weren't sure that I would actually be able to physically play at those temperatures. And actually, I basically had gloves that I chopped the ends off so my fingers were out, because you can't play guitar with gloves on.
No.
And I've got to say, I nearly had to stop halfway through because the pain in my hands was so extreme that I couldn't feel them for like hours and hours afterwards. Oh. And my, you know, we had an expedition leader with us who specialises in taking people to these extreme places, and he was in the army before, and he knew the telltale signs of, you know, if you get frostbite and stuff. And I was looking at him saying, seriously, are my hands all right? Because I just felt so painful. And he was like, no, you're all right for like another 3 minutes, and then you're going to start getting frostbite. I was like, oh, brilliant. So it was tough, man. It was tougher than I thought it would be. Yeah. But it was, I ate all sorts of weird stuff, like I ate mountain ram and reindeer, and it was cool though.
Right, fair enough. Now just a couple more things, Charlie, before you go. And while I have you here, I just have to ask you just a couple of things about Fightstar. Yep, cool. Now, since it's been over 3 years since the band announced a hiatus in 2010, there's been a lot of rumours speculating that you guys are ready to get back together and even maybe another album.
Yes, I think the timing of it is still unsure, because obviously I'm going to be having this next album campaign. I'm not sure quite how long that will run for, because, you know, we're going to be doing some stuff in the States and more stuff in Europe, so it's all very tentative, but at some point we will definitely play music together again. You know, I see those guys all the time. Two of them live next to me, so there are two of them. Dan and Al are actually doing another musical project together called Gunship at the moment, and they've recorded a record, so they're going to be doing that. But it will happen at some point. So
Fightstar will definitely come back soon.
Yes.
Okay, well, great, good to hear. And can we expect anything else from you with your solo material in the near future?
Well, I think after this record, you know, I think my focus at the moment very much is getting this new album out. As I say, we'll have a new single. We'll probably be releasing in February, and then yeah, I'll just be touring. To be honest, I think that's my next focus, just to get out and play as many shows as I can, because that's what I love sharing my music with people, and on the road it's always great just to be able to play the songs that you love and to meet the fans and all that kind of stuff. So that's going to be my main focus for the next kind of 6 to 8 months.
Okay. Are you going to be trying to do a UK headline tour anytime soon?
Yes. Yeah, I actually just spoke to my manager a couple of days ago. I think we're going to be putting something on sale probably early January. Okay. For a headline tour, which has been nice because I went out with Twin Atlantic this time last year, and then I did Warped, and I'm doing Deaf Havana, so it'd be nice to start headlining again. So I can't wait for that. So just keep checking, Facebook and my Twitter and stuff, because all of the information will be put up there as and when it happens.
Cool. Well, that's about it.
Great.
Cheers, Charlie, for coming.
Thank you very much indeed. Lovely to speak to you.
Good luck with the rest of the tour, and hopefully I can catch you very soon.
Thank you.